Hello. Are we live? I believe we are. Are we live? We're live. How's it going, everyone? How is it going? We should get started. First, we will officially go live and make our announcement. HTTPS. I always say that wrong because I type it faster than I can say it. Twitch.tv/Lambda. We're making a compiler. Part 11. Function calls. Looks good to me. Hey, look, my phone's on vibrate and not silent. Ain't that a bitch? Anyway, how are you doing? We should get something going. Let's start up Emacs. And switch to it. Welcome, everyone. How's it going? I just woke up recently. We should get going. So today we are going to be doing function calls. What do you know? Oh, LandRXT, how's it going? He asks, does this count as early enough? You are at the welcome screen. It definitely counts as early enough. How's it going, Landar? Thank you so much for showing up. Streamer 2022 from compiler. Today we have an even lower bit rate. So let me know if things start to look bad. Nolan, how's it going? He says, hey, with a happy face. LandRXT says, imagine actually having organized files. I know, right? I actually do. It's scary. Nice. That's going to take a while. You should do this first. Ooh, you know what else we could do? So I'm presuming that a lot of you are actually running Windows, like myself. And because of that, you probably have not a MinGW-based toolchain, which is more of a minimalist setup. You probably go for the classic and recommended by most people Visual Studio, right? And it's not open source, but it is great on Windows, I will say that, for coding in low-level languages. The debugging is built in. LandRXT says, I have a folder called New Projects and another folder called Current Dev Work, with a lot of the projects being the same. Oh no. Nolan asks, did you manage to figure out what that message was or who donated? That's right. So we have had 2 donators so far. I'd like to thank the named one, VMe, VI_ME. He donated. He was the original donator, the first to ever donate. And I very much appreciate him. He's so positive every time he's in the chat. But then we had a donator yesterday, and they didn't claim. Nobody claimed the donation. I was just given money. And the message is what looks to be a Bitcoin address, but I put it in a Bitcoin address lookup. And guess what? It's not a Bitcoin address or a Monero or anything. So if it's not like a cryptocurrency address, why do I just have this big string of letters as a note to me for $1337, which is elite payment? Like, what? I don't even get it. Hopefully it's Nolan and he just loves trolling. But it's an odd one. I still don't know what it is. I googled the number or the string and there's nothing that comes up. It's like I have no clue what it is. Maybe it's encoded. Ooh, maybe it's base 64. So this is gonna be like I'm gonna decode it in like 10 years and be like, I did it, but it's gonna say like, look behind you, and then I'm gonna get murdered or something. Right? That's what this is gonna be. This is like my demise in the making. He's like, I gave you $13.37, and you didn't even say my name. I was like, I didn't know it was you. I'm sorry. So good. I just made a whole movie in my head. That was a lot of fun. I wish you could see it. uh, LandRXT says, I have like every compiler possible installed. Oh no. I really need to sort that out. It's okay. You can have them all installed. It's just as long as they're organized. LandRXT says, time to donate 1 more cent than them. You would then be our top donator ever. If you give 1338, you'd be our top donator. I'm thinking about having like a custom text section that I write on the screen that has like our top donator, but I just like do it manually. Because I think that's better than having a robot say your name. Is like I get to write your name and say it's you. Leap +1, Lamau. Nolan, you're hilarious. Landor, you're just as well. Thank you everybody for watching. I love your positivity. You're making me laugh this morning. Oh, I'm assuming though most of you are on VS Windows and have Visual Studio and kind of are aware of how that works. So I just wanted to demonstrate how easy it is to build our compiler for Visual Studio. All you have to do is type this command into the command. Oh, I did the wrong thing somehow. Look at me. All you have to do is type Cmake -b and then the folder where you want it to generate the solution, the Visual Studio solution. And this is if you're on Windows, of course. So if we type -b and then let's just do Windows, right? Win. And then you see, look at that. It just says it's done. Build files have been written. So now, if we actually open up the Explorer, you can check out there's Win now, and you can just open up this solution in Microsoft Visual Studio. LandRXT says, I might quickly give it a go. It's it's doable. All you need is Cmake. And with this, hey look, it even saved my stupid breakpoints for testing earlier. Fun. I was doing some heap checking out. Okay, but yeah, then you just hit play, right? It's like a video game. Everybody knows programming is like a video game. And look, it worked. It's not obvious that it worked because it closes right away, right? It doesn't stay open at the end. It just returns. But of course, you know how to fix that if you're a programmer. You just put in a breakpoint. And now look. I always appreciate when developers make it super easy to compile like that. Yeah, I do my best. I do my best. It should be cross-platform on every platform, is my opinion. Except for an OS. An OS has a different standpoint. That's why my OS isn't under MIT. It's under GNU Public License version 3. But the MIT license is what most of my actual user space programs are written under. So as you can see, we're running it from here and it works. We can like look at all our things, right? We pass 2 arguments. But the problem is, what you'll run into the first time you open it, you're gonna have to right click the project, go to properties. You can also go to project properties here. Windows, right? There's always 2 UIs to get to the same place. And you're gonna have to go to debugging and change your command and command arguments. So you can just hit browse, and then you're gonna have to click on your executable. You're probably gonna be here and just go click on your executable. And then as your command argument, we have to pass the file that we want to actually compile, right? So this also has to be set. But you just have to browse and do the same thing here, right? Coolio. Coolio. Hey, Eternal Wild Fox says, hello! How's it going, Eternal Wild Fox? What is up? How are you doing today? I thank you so much for showing up, tuning in. Eternal says, I'm doing okay. What about you? I'm doing okay as well. I woke up in the middle of the night and had trouble getting back to sleep. And then I slept in this morning, so it was kind of a catch-22, right? But yeah, it's very easy to compile even on Windows. You can hit the play button like a video game. We all love it. And do all your fancy heap debugging and look at the registers in real time and set breakpoints just by clicking a button. If you want to do that, that's there. And totally possible. However, if we take a look at this, it's like 16 megabytes. Whereas our actual debug build even, let's look at our debug build, is less than 1 megabyte. It's 1 megabyte on the actual disk. So it's a lot of space, I will warn. And it stays open, I forgot. There's this whole issue where Visual Studio keeps the language server open because I have ClangD open through Emacs, so we have a whole thing. LandRXD says, even on Windows. Windows makes everything harder. Exactly. They do. It's like they even make file systems harder. They make like debugging harder. They make programming harder. They're like, what if you linked to 8 libraries for every user space program? It's like, or maybe we could not do that. Eternal Wild Fox, you're right. It is sure is fun. It's a lot. LandRXT links to the fun compiler and says, if anyone else wanted a quick link in chat. Heyo. You're a goat, Landar. Go click that link. That's the GitHub link to this open source code that we're about to do some work on today. I very much recommend it. You can just go build it and compile a file. I think we include the example. Do I include the example? Hopefully I include the example. If not, it's coming right now. Yeah, we include the example. Hey, I have changes. Oh yes, that's right, that's right. So I went through and compiled with, that's right, that's what I was looking at here. Compile with -wl and -w extra. This is only for me. If you're on if you're using Visual Studio, this won't work. You're gonna have to do it a different way. I'm sure there's some way to enable warnings in Visual Studio, if they're not by default. But by adding this to our Cmake script, we are saying that this target, our compiler executable, should be compiled with these options, which enables all the warnings, the extra warnings, so more than all the warnings, and it's pedantic, so all of them will be caught. Eternal Wild Fox says, well, I am going to build an ENBF transpiler, ENBF grammar and PHP code out. More than all the warnings, exactly. All plus extra. 101% of warnings, that's right. This is like the warning and a fifth. Eternal Wild Fox, that sounds really cool. You're gonna make like a kind of like Bison or Yak style compiler generator, parser generator, lexer generator. Those are cool programs. They're confusing to me, but they do apparently work. Oh, but anyways, all we have to do now is actually compile our program. It's already built, so you see it says no work to do. It's keeping the executable in the cache and saying you didn't change any files, bud. We're not going to change shit. So to actually get it to do something, we can say, I think it's clean first to Cmake. Yeah. So if by passing, I can't speak today, I'm sorry. By passing clean first, --clean first to Cmake in our build invocation, then it actually cleans all the built files and deletes everything it generates. So all this codegen.c.object, main.c.object, and then it has to rebuild them. And rebuilding them will allow us to catch all these warnings. So now we can just jump around using Emacs and we'll be on our way. Ooh, I should have looked at what the warning was. It says unused variable temp node 1. It's true. We no longer use it. I'd say we can just get rid of it because it's a bad name anyway. LandarXT says, my Cmake just gave me this. Building for Visual Studio 14 2015. Oh no. Guessing I uninstalled VS22 2022 and that's the first thing it found? Yeah, so to help you out really quick, in a terminal, with Cmake, when you're generating, use the -g command, like just run it like this, if you can see that. Is that big enough? Cmake -g, this. And then it'll tell you, it gives you an error, but then it lists all the valid generators. So you can see, I have all of these, but the star is the one it'll pick by default. And then to actually use one of these, just copy this string, like Control-Shift-C in the terminal, and then you can just put it after the -g in quotes, and it'll find it. So if you want to use a newer one, if you have it, or you can use some other way, like you can use Ninja if you have Ninja. You can use Unix makefiles if you have, you're going to use like a Unix compiler, but I don't think you're going to. I think there's MinGW makefiles as well that come with, see, code blocks. You can generate code blocks project files, and Eclipse, and Kate, and Sublime, and Grammar to Parser Boy says, hello, no compiler today? And Eternal Wildfox says, hello, Grammar to Parser Boy. Hey, look at all this terribleness. We are working on the compiler today. We were just going through how easy it is to generate different build systems with Cmake, even for like Visual Studio or anything. And now we're going through warnings that have been generated and are basically just, whoops, checking these out. So this says comparison. Here, can I, if I do this, this will make more sense. Oh, it opened another one. No, thank you. It just loves to open another one. It doesn't have enough room. LandarXT says, I'm reinstalling 2022 because it decided to uninstall somehow. I've uninstalled and reinstalled so many Visual Studio versions and Enterprise and Community, and like, because they kept switching licenses and what's allowed and what's not. I'm like, this is insane. I can't even keep track anymore. So I'm just lucky enough. I try and install the newest one just so that I can just have the defaults work in Cmake because it chooses the newest by default. Anyway, comparison of integer expressions of different signedness. So we have a positive, an unsigned size t, a long unsigned int, and a long int, which is a signed. So what's the long int? That's the size. So size should be converted if bytes read is less than size. See, size isn't necessarily positive. File size can return 0. Is that a problem? Like, can't we just do a size t for file size? We never return negatives. I don't understand why we'd put a long there. Especially when it's literally a size. I mean, we could use an off t, but that's not always the right thing. And then file io.h. Standard def. Landor says, I have a half-complete UWP install of VS 2015, and that was somehow the only compiler it found. Not necessarily the only one, just the default. Remember, if you pass -g just by with nothing else. It'll give you a list of all the generators that are possible, or that are found. And then you can select a different one with -G as well by passing the correct parameter. How's it going, Grammar to Parser Boy? How are you doing today? I thank you for tuning in. Okay, so size T, av standard def. So now that is no longer an error. Wonderful. However, this is, it says field precision specifier dot star expects argument of type int, but it's a long int. That's a simple one. We just have to cast the value because, well, we are casting to a smaller type here. So what would be the actual? I think this is the best we can do. Because these aren't ever going to be ridiculous unless things are very broken. So this will work unless things get ridiculous. Or I'd have to cast each of these to an integer before doing the math, which I don't think is worth it. I think this is fine. Alrighty, unused variable token count. If it's unused, we can just get rid of it. Warning, this statement may fall through. Hey look, it does. We would have printed too much stuff. Fix that. And that's why you compile with warnings. Whoops. There we go. So now even compiling with all the warnings, all 101% of the warnings, right? With all of them warnings, we get none of them. Nada. So now we can disable these because they slow things down and are not really needed in practice. And then we can also not clean first. And we can start running our executable like so on example. Wonderful. Unrecognized token foo. Well, what do you know? That's what we're working on today. So let's go ahead and check out the parser. We are now, oh, we're already here. Perfect. You're mad at Stradoop because you're deprecated in Microsoft. Same there. It's not a big deal. It's a POSIX function. It'll stick around. Alrighty. Here is our parser. It's getting larger. It's getting larger. I will say. I think we can simplify some of these things, but we'll get there in time. I think the expect, someone suggested that like the this should be built in to the macro, but then we'd have to provide, like I think we just have to provide the list of statements in a brace as a single argument and then have that be applied because we have to do different things every time. Like if it's found or not found, or I don't know. Eternal Wild Fox says, I think I have more fun getting math expression engine. I still have to evaluate the tree. Oh, mine English. Ooh. It's not bad. I can understand you. If it's your second language, I wouldn't even worry about it. I wouldn't even worry about it if it's your first, as long as, I mean, people are understanding you. It doesn't really matter. So, yeah, evaluating the tree is that's probably a good thing to get done. That way you can understand kind of how the working result type of thing happens. And doing an efficient evaluator is actually one of the hardest parts because you have to walk over a tree in a complex way without losing track of your state and everything. I don't know, I'd recommend it if you're interested. If you're not interested, do something else. It's always my recommendation. So the kind of manual lexing we do here is only because we have specific parameter declaration requirements. A parameter declaration is just a variable declaration. So we could use, I'm just going to write this down, fix me with a question mark. Should we possibly create a parser stack and evaluate the next expression? Then ensure return value is our decal in stack handling below. This would mean that we can kind of use the same code and we could get rid of a lot of this, which is probably worth it. But we're not going to do that now. We're going to work on function calls. Eternal Wild Fox says, yesterday I was totally out of focus. I was thinking I could tree walk with nested for each and tried that. Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's definitely doable, it just becomes unwieldy. Like this code is here, right? It's this same stuff where I have a forever loop inside of a while loop, and I try to avoid things like that. And I realize that there's actually different design patterns that we even support and use elsewhere in the same function that will help fix that up. Whereas in Landar XT just said nothing. He says nothing. It's just space. Just spaces. He gave us, how many spaces is that? He gave us this many spaces. They're not spaces. They're non-ASCII characters. What is it? Describe char, please. What did you just paste in chat, my guy? Braille? Did you just you just copy and pasted Braille into chat? For real? Okay, we got W here. What is this? Syntax W, which means word. Which word? It says Braille pattern blank. So it's a blank Braille. Are you blind, Landar? I'm not saying that trying to be mean. Are you blind and using Braille to input? And just put in a bunch of spaces on accident? Are you okay? What's going on? Landar says Lamau. Explain yourself, Landar. What is going on? He's pasted Braille. Is it, maybe I should look in the browser. Maybe it's something else. No, it's just spaces in the browser as well. What, you got Braille? It's one of the blank Unicode characters. I see. It's ironic that the blind people get a blank character, right? It's I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but that is kind of ironic. Catch 22 a bit, right? Unrecognized token. Ooh. Because we don't environment set. Here it is. So at to do above, we did that. And then, whoops, and then we need functions. So we bind the function name to the working result and then parse the body into the working result and such. I think we can get rid of all of this. I think I am about to solve my tree walker with recursion. No boy, not going to like that. Recursion is always a good start. It's the simplest design pattern. that is, allows for that style of thing. And it's not a big deal until your trees get to very large. Try the visitor pattern. Oh lord. No. Just let him grow. Let him grow. Recursion is okay at first, and then you start to understand some design patterns where how recursion can be removed and converted into code that doesn't recurse. And by doing that, you end up with continuations usually, like we have in this parser. Because this parser also started recursive, but then we fixed that. I think it's possible that we never create another expression. Yeah, so the problem is, this is fine, I think, by the way. The problem is we don't update working result here. So I think there's a problem in, if I just go to example, and in foo I write c or equals 5, I think we will demonstrate the issue. As you can see, we never actually parsed c or equals 5. So I don't know why I'm saying or equals either. This means assigned. C assigned to 5. So we get C assigned to 10 and then stop. So instead of doing function calls, we are first going to fix function parsing themselves. And that's just because I think we ran out of time yesterday in a little bit of a rush. So first we should expect the end. We can remove this from the to-do state because we are now doing. And evaluate next expression unless it's a closing brace. So we would now like to say working result, next child, create, so each expression creates the next child, and then the working result equals the next child. What do you know? Okay, it didn't quite work because the working result is not always. So this should be kind of the working result of the stack. So we're going to need to save that in the context, I fear. Our structures are growing. I don't know why I feel so evil saying that. Used for stack continuation while parsing. This is going to be results. So the operator will operate on the result when the stack continues. Did I just describe a denotation? Oh man, I think I just described a denotation. I feel like I've heard that definition in another way very recently. I just broke my brain a little bit, like, wait, I got deja vu. That ancient knowledge I just unlocked? Holy shit. So instead of a working result, we would like to say result from the stack, which is our parsing context. Again, this is unused. Again, I could have just looked up here as well. I wonder, okay. Again, I have the same thing. Maybe I should just separate it into its own thing instead of shoehorning it into this context. But whatever. Because I think all three of these could move into here. And then we could just have a stack within parse expression that we create and not have to worry about anything, because the idea is parse expression will never recurse, so it doesn't need a stack as a parameter. That's a good idea. So to do would be use this. To do. Separate context from stack. Good enough for me. So the context result now needs to be set along with defun. So we will just say operator equals la result is not equal to the working result. Excuse me. Is not equal to the working result. So yes, the result will be set to the actual function body, because that's what we're trying to evaluate into. Do I have function body just named like that? I don't think I do. It's here. So this has to happen here. It's a little confusing. Okay, how can I clean this up? What's happening here? So we parsed a function. Now we're beginning to parse the function body. And we create a context. But the result of the context should be set, yeah, that makes sense, I guess, at the bottom. I'll just give it a comment so that it doesn't get missed and separate it out like this and say, screw it. It's fine. No comment will help. No comment will help. It really doesn't matter. So now that we have set the context result to the function body, we can say the context result next child. Okay, so the context result has to start as the child. Okay, so it's the first expression, the function first expression. Hey, look. Like that. Okay. That's good enough for me. I didn't mean to do that, because it won't work. So the idea is now when creating a function, we create this parsing stack and then go and parse the expression within the function body. But save the result of the first expression, the actual this node, because this pointer will always be the result that gets written into. So then next child pointer will refer to the child of the function body. Not quite, apparently, not quite. Reassignment of variable that has not been declared C. Ooh, I wonder if this is not supposed to be there. Hey, look, I did it. Ho, 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 LandRXT, that's so cool. LandRXT, I'm gonna copy and paste this because this is amazing. Just successfully built fun compiler. That's so cool. You actually built a program that you watched being written. Isn't that kind of weird? It's really cool though. Thank you. That's awesome. Now time for you to start writing some code in the language. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just grateful that you did that. That's amazing. That's so sweet. I'll have to also, did I commit to committed? I don't think I commit to committed after I did the thingamajigs. That's just a comment fixer. I kept the stack. Oh yeah, this is what I did when figuring out why the assembly went wrong yesterday, because I was watching the stream. Back. This is the warnings and stuff we fixed. I don't think we need the complete message. What do we need? What do we need? We definitely need these fixes. Yep, that's actually all the fixes that are needed. That's good enough for me. Oh, we should set, there's one thing missing. When we create a new context, we need to set the result to null and the operator to null. Otherwise, these could be like uninitialized and have actual pointers, and then if we check them against null, they'll pass, and then we think there's actually an operator there, and there's not, and there's a whole bunch of issues. So let's do that. Make sure we git commit that. That's so cool, LandRXT, that you built Fun Compiler. You did it. You are a part of the progress. I'm so happy you're here. Definitely include these fixes. And we'll update the example so that it includes things that can now be parsed. Lots of bug fixes. This even gets an upside down exclamation point. That's how excited I am. Chat, I'm excited about this commit. We're about to commit the commit and push it, and it's gonna be amazing. Okay, 6 files changed, blah, blah, blah. We removed more than we added. That's a good sign. Just because of the comments. So we now write comments as this with the double semicolon, because syntax highlighting, not syntax highlighting, but automatic indentation requires that 2 semicolons be there. Otherwise it shoots the comments over to the right side. F-right, we make stack space at the beginning and then remove stack space at the end of our main function. I think that's fine. We get rid of the unused variable. In file.io, we have, always nice when a recommendation from chat makes it in. Yeah. Absolutely. Alrighty. So then we have, yes, file.io, and we did converted a size t and something that was always positive so that we could do a proper signedness comparison. File.io.h reflects that. Parser.c, we skipped a fall through case, or fixed a fall through case. We fixed this dot star length specifier becoming an integer when it was a size t due to how things were working, or a long int or something, just something big enough for the whole memory address, 64-bit. We initialize our stack variables properly, our nodes, our node pointers. Get rid of another unused variable, comments. Yep, we update the result that we created in parser.h to the proper result. That way we can update it next time. We also have to update context result, is something I'm thinking about. So let's go fix that before we screw this up. Yep, I know, cancel. Cancel all the things. That's cleaner. LanderXT says, I just realized it's been 1 week since I first watched your stream. Pog, we got our 1 week anniversary. Did you get me flowers? I got you a box of chocolate. I really appreciate you watching for a whole week, though. That's amazing. I'm really happy you chose to stick around. You know what I mean? Because there have been many that didn't. and many that did. How life goes, usually. But hey, look, now our function body contains our variable reassignments, and all of them. And I presume if I add another one, it won't matter. Always got to end on a 69. Look at us. Function bodies are now being parsed. LandRXT says my address is 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Northwest Washington, D.C., 2500. Doxed. Way to dox yourself, man. That's a good one. I'm pretty sure that's like being taken over by people or something. I saw it in the news or something. Okay. So we now properly do our things. Biden lets me live there rent-free. Oh, if only. Rent-free. The White House has been taken over. That's right. It's over. Oh no. It's not. The White House is fine. To my knowledge, unless if the White House actually is being taken over right now, that'd be quite sad if like people are being killed. And it's like we're just joking about it. It's not likely that that would ever happen though. Which is why it's funny, because it's unexpected. Don't you love explaining jokes? That always makes them more funny. Lots of bug fixes. Lando XT says, okay, I'll be honest. My address is 308 Negro Arroyo Lane, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87104. Jesse! Jesse! We need the methylamine. So good. That was a good reference. If you're just pulling these out of your memory, that's impressive. I presume you're Googling them. Because I don't know the address of the White House. I know where it is, and I know it's on Pennsylvania Avenue. So when I saw it, I was like, okay, that's obviously the White House. But if you know the Breaking Bad address, that's pretty dope. There's a free pizza on the roof, I'm pretty sure, since you know where it is. It'll just appear there. What's his name? Ooh, don't foam over, don't foam over, don't foam over. We're good. We're good. Chat, we're good. No spill. This is a no spill Saturday? What day is it? Landar says, I memorized it after joking in so many discords. That's impressive. There's definitely a free pizza on the roof for you. Grammar to Parser Boy says, my parser is extensible. You can register on which token to handle and in which context. Expression, statement, declaration. Really awesome architecture. You just gave me a great idea. Thank you, Grammar to Parser Boy. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So what you're saying, similar to this, but different, is that add an environment to the parsing context that contains operators to handle, right? Is this what you're saying? So you're saying that instead of doing a string compare here for defun, we would do a lookup of this symbol in an environment in the context itself. So the context would kind of hold how to deal with the context itself. But then we look this up in the operator, like our parser stack operator environment. And if it matches something that we've registered in it, then we do some handler. Is that what you're saying? We just have to have a way to define handlers. that is in the language itself and not in C, or have it extensible through C with function pointers, using like each function could just take in the result. Removed by Reddit. Removed by Reddit on account of violating the content policy. Lamau Landar. He's the guy that would text you like, error. There is an issue with so-and-so's service right now. The number you were trying to reach is not available. Contact your... He would text you back that and be like, oh, I got him. Grammar de Parser voice says, my operator are defined as enum with attributes with kind and precedence. That sounds terrifying. That's a lot of data that's linked together, and it scares me. So why don't you just store that in JSON form? Why do you choose an enum? Because enums are hard to extend. So if you say it's extensible, why not just make it JSON so people can like add their own in and have it loaded in runtime from JSON, right? Because I'm kind of thinking about doing like a configuration file for the parser, or be able to pass in different configuration files. So have like, instead of having stuff like operator precedence, be able to change from within the language, be able to change operator precedence from... Grammar du Parser Boy says own operators are not planned. So you don't plan on them being able to define their own operators. I see. You just allow them to change the handling of the operators, question mark? Is that what you're saying? Like, I think that makes sense, yeah. Because they're an enum with attributes. I don't know what kind is. Kind is probably another enum. So an operator has a kind, and then or the kind refers to the precedence, like lowest precedence. Because equality will always be in front of product, will always be in front of sum or something like that. Right? Anyways, I think this works. Break the sound barrier and cause a sonic boom. Yes, Landar. Grammar to Parser Boy says you can change how an operator works by replacing it with a macro. Interesting. How do your macros work? Because I want people to be able to define their own binary infix operators. Is my plan, at least. And also, now that we've done this, we can do something else. Hopefully that makes sense. So else symbol was not a, what is this? Variable. So, okay. This says it's not an assignment, and it's not a function. So function dealt with, function definition. Assignment dealt with. Okay. Symbol is not be fun, and it is not followed by an assignment operator. I don't know why I'm choosing these backticks today, but I am. LanderXT says, I love being the one who never says anything on topic and just pastes random phrases partially from Reddit and partially from my stupid brain. Where'd you get a stupid brain? The only one I've seen is pretty smart. You memorized the Breaking Bad address, my guy. I don't know that shit. I've seen Breaking Bad multiple times. I still don't know the address. I couldn't have even told you the road. I could have told you Albuquerque, New Mexico. But that's just because that's where Albuquerque is, and I remember them saying it a lot. Like what'd they say, ALQ or something? I don't even know. I don't remember. You know, I'm not smart. Landar's over here memorizing shit. Okay, so if symbol is not defined, check if it's a variable access. Defined variable. Check if it's a function call. Look ahead for symbol. This one's easier, so we're going to do that. Okay? So expect this, and if it's found, do a thing. I got that backwards. Look at me go. Okay, so we're going to expect an open paren. And upon finding an open paren, we got some stack stuff to do. Okay, first of all, new type, unless we already have it. Yep, we don't have a function call. So this is going to contain two children. One, which is the function symbol, and two, which is the parameter list. I think that's all we need, chat. So this function call is now what we have. I'm not going to read that one just for cancelability purposes, but I did read it. It would be funny. I think they would just name it. They would just remove the new. I don't think they would call it old. just a nitpick. Damn it, I tried. Lamau. You did good. There's nothing wrong with trying. I just don't want to have somebody show this to me in 10 years and be like, you said this. Like, yes, but I was reading it. Because America be fucked like that, you know? So, create a parsing stack. Function call operator, I guess. And then start parsing function argument expressions. LanderXT says, at least when you end stream, there's no evidence I ever said it. I mean, Twitch does keep chat logs, because when you watch the VOD of a stream, the chat replays. So if somebody watches through the VOD at that moment, they will see that chat. Because I didn't delete it or anything. And I won't. That's history now. So, context is going to be equal to parse context create context. Context operator, we're just going to have a symbol. Funkle. Funkle your uncle. Or don't. It's node symbol. Our result is going to be our working result. But first, we're going to have to deal with our working result. So we're going to have to say working result children equals node allocate. Well, this will actually, so we're going to node add child to the working result, and it's going to be the symbol, because it's the function call. So we add this function call the function name as a child. Then we need to add the list as a child. So this is going to be arguments. We'll call it argument list just to be specific. And then we're going to create first argument, right? We're going to add to the argument list the first argument, and we're going to say the working result is equal to the first argument. You see what this does is next time we continue, which we are going to have to do, this is a continuation after all. Lander XD says 2 weeks, then I'm free of this curse. That's right. Also, it's as of September 1st, it's only 1 week. So if you waited a month, it only would have been 7 days. But we may have Twitch affiliate by that point, which would make it go back up to 14. So it's a real catch-22. So when we create this context and continue, what's going to happen? Node type max fails. That's fair, because we now have a function call. That. There's another assertion. And it's in node compare. Don't know if we're ever going to have to compare again. But put her there. Hey! We are getting there, boys. We are getting there, boys. We have a function call with the symbol foo. This is good. Now, we effectively just have to handle it here in the same way. Also, I'm just going to do this because it's going to be explicit that each of these are stacked continuations. They're either breaks or continuations. They shouldn't be able to do anything else. There will never be a fall through case. Also, I just copy and pasted. I don't trust myself. Anybody remember what I set the operator to? Because I don't. Fun call. That's right. Funkle your uncle. Landar says Twitch really trying to get people to use YouTube for VODs. It's true, and I do. They've succeeded. I have been streaming just over an hour. I do want to take this time to point out, if you are not already in the Discord, be sure to check the link out in the About section of Twitch, or just down below if you're on desktop. Be sure to come get notifications every time I go live, as well as just chat, hang out, share your progress on what you're working on. If you need help with something, we're all here for you. It's a lot of fun. I really recommend it. And yeah, that's my little spiel done. There's also that donate button if you have the extra money and are enjoying what you see, or just prefer to throw away money. Why not throw it this way? No, in all seriousness, I greatly appreciate any and all donations that come in. There's the donate button down below. If you leave a message with your username, I will attribute it to you, and if you leave a message, I'll read it on stream as long as it's appropriate. So I think that is all. Thank you so much for watching, is all I want to say. Thank you for everybody who chats, everybody who lurks. We love those lurkers, and let's get it. Let's keep doing this. I'm gonna have a little drink, some water. Hey yo, some water. Woo. Okay. So we want to expect the end case, and the end case is a comma. No. The end case is a closing paren. Right? We should also add that. Ooh, you know what would be smart? You know what would be really smart? If this is a bit mask, then I could just have one expected.flags and they could have like done and found be two sides of one byte. And then I could just have one check. Or I could just create a function that says expect check or something. We're getting so complicated already. Landar says, stay hydrated, kids. That's right. You don't want your kidneys going out. Kidney stones are no fun. One of the most painful things that can happen. All right. And this is going to be an error. That's weird indenting. So we're going to have to error prep error into an error syntax because parameter list expected closing parenthesis or comma for another parameter. We basically are just saying, we don't know what you just put in. It's not a comma, it's not another parameter, and it's not the end of the list, so what are you talking about, bud? We could also just have the comma be optional, which is an interesting theory. To do, let's have fix me. Could comma be optional? Why not? Leave the idea in our minds. Anyways, after we get the comma, then we just have to do this little dance up here. So the context result, did I ever set that? Set it to the first argument. Yeah, it's a little bit of a different pattern, but it's the same thing. So the context result next child, we're going to allocate a node that we will then parse into. And then the new parsing context becomes that thing. Little dance, little dance. LandarXT says send a message. Invalid syntax, parameter list, expected closing parenthesis or comma for another parameter. Comma. Expected comma. Let's look at our example. 20. We don't have like 20 comma, right? We have nothing. We don't continue. Okay, I get the issue. We were supposed to do a continuation and parse. I think we had the same error last time, right? Continuing here should parse into working result a new expression. And then we should end up here with result being done. So like working result should already have been written to. So let's print that then. What did a working result? That is another language. I just pasted it into Google Translate. It's Norwegian, and it's Lenzer is the best compiler developer in the universe, and if someone says otherwise, they should be performed in the name of the Republic for a safe and secure society. Lamau. Now that sends a message. Yeah, in 20. Lamau. Thank you. I greatly appreciate the compliment. I don't think I'm the best one. I think I'm subpar at best, but at least I do it live, and I'm willing to. Grammar to Parser Boy says, why I am not the best compiler writer in the world, Kappa. Lamau Grammar. We got the real housewives of programming happening in chat. There's so much drama, so much gossip. It's scaring me, man. I gotta do like a You gotta each record like little tell-alls, like little talking heads. That's what they're called. So we get integer 20, and then found closing paren. We never get there. So then this would say not a comma. It says not a comma. It's a little confusing. So let's try and figure out what the hell we are doing. So we have 20, foo 20, right? Also, do I set children here? I may not set children here. Hey, look, that's a mistake too. So now this working result, before it gets updated, the argument list needs to be a child of the function call. Grammar to parser boy as die beste entwickler wo compiler ever net die beste compiler entwickler well lenser den title with Layler hoffen that ass okay. I don't know what that means, but I see the word ass and twice. So it looks good. It looks good. Luxembourgish to help you out. Oh yeah, they have all the different dialects. Dialect. So function call, symbol foo. Hey look, we have a function called foo. We parse int 20, then it goes not a comma, bud. After int 20, not a comma. Which is confusing, right? I think some of us would say. What is next? Right? It's not a comma. What is it? Grammar 2 Parser Boy is the best developer of compilers, but not the best compiler developer because Lenser has that title, sadly. Hope that's all right. That's awesome. What does the word ass mean in German or Luxembourgish? Thank you for the title. I appreciate it. Also, that's usually how it goes. It's like, this is the chairman of the board, and he doesn't do anything. The board does most of it. It's like that one guy named Jim who gets paid like nothing. He does most of the work, but nobody ever says his name at any meeting or anything. And once that guy dies, company goes under. Not really. They just replace him. Find somebody else to ignore. So why is it not a comma? What is it? What is next? You know what I mean? So let's print the current token and see what spits out. Hey, look, a comma. So you're telling me we've kind of already lexed and we have the comma in the current token? Is that right? Lender XT says, I'm going to go and do something more productive now. All right, Lender, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We love to have you around. Your positivity is awesome. Love hearing you tell jokes. And we will be working on function calls in our compiler. We're getting there. It just seems that we have to do a literal check. Or our expect isn't working or something. Expect. Let's expect. So the thing is, we should never... Grammar to Parser Boy says, lol, I have an idea. I could make a compiler writing course on the Backlang website. That's a great idea. I just get something. Twitch always tries to sabotage me with their mobile live dashboard notifications. They're like, how about we do this? So we use the copies of everything when we advance. The end value gets updated, the current length gets updated, and the current gets updated. It's a little odd there. Syntax. Someone just gifted me a sub to a streamer I haven't watched in months. Lamau. That's crazy. That's pretty pog, I guess. What does gifting a sub do? Does it just make you subscribed? Do you have the option to refund it and just take their $5? That would be pretty funny. I wish. You just get a sub for 1 month. Grammar to Parser Boy says, sometimes I also stream the development of backlang on Twitch. That's awesome. Everyone here should go follow Grammar to Parser Boy on Twitch. More compiler development. Alrighty. So we advance, but we only update the values we give it, which means next time we advance, it'll be different. So expected. So let's just do expecting blah got token. Little confusing, but it makes sense. And we're expected, I think. Cool. Okay, so expecting comma, got comma, not a comma. Okay, I just must be an idiot and screwed up the condition. Ah, look at that. I did. It should be not found. Not a comma. Look at me being silly. Isn't that wonderful? At least we learned how everything worked. There's a printf now here that really doesn't need to be here. That's not bad though. We might want to put this in like an if-def, like debug parser, right? That's not a bad idea. Seeing all those expects. Hey, look at us. Grammar to Parser Boy says, I go now. See you next time. Bye, Grammar. Thank you so much for coming out. Lander XT says the same thing. Anyway, I should actually go. All right, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We are now parsing function calls. You can say you were here for it. We are parsing function calls. It's official. But thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate it so much. I know you two have already hit that follow button. I won't pester you. I'll just thank you for coming out, and I really appreciate you. Thanks for being so positive today. We did it. We parsed function calls. I am so far ahead of you writing a compiler, lol. Ahead. Oh, that's a B. I may be dyslexic. I thought that B was an A. I was reading that like A hide, and I was like, what a hide? I'm dumb. Eternal Wild Fox says, I am so far behind you of writing a compiler, lol. Don't feel bad. look at all the streams that have been went into it, right? This is what, number 12, number 11? Let's check the Discord. This is number 11, and each one is at least 2 hours. So I am over a full day's worth of actual work of programming on this compiler. Like 24 hours. And I've probably done more if you add up all the videos, because some of them are 4, some of them are 3 hours. So it's probably like 30, 35 hours I put into this program, this project. Just to put it in comparison. Don't go comparing apples to oranges, you know, or mountains to molehills. What is it? Don't make a chicken out of a feather? Eventually, you can make a chicken out of feathers, but not a singular feather if you just started and found one, right? Don't feel bad, is what I'm saying. Everybody starts somewhere. And honestly, you'll probably pass me, because writing a compiler in PHP is going to be much more ergonomic as time goes on. You're going to be able to create APIs for yourself that you can use in really cool ways and not have to deal with low-level stuff. Whereas C, every time you make a new variable, you have to consider, like, okay, what type is it? Okay, what do I need to store here? Okay, what is it named? Okay, where does it get its value? Okay, and there's just so much low-level stuff to deal with that PHP helps you remove yourself from. It's a little more higher level. So likely you'll take a longer time to get the initial part up and running, but then you'll have a point where you can surpass me because you've developed an environment which is superior, right? And in C, that's a lot harder to do. Like my expect macro is a good example. In other languages, this doesn't have to be a macro, and you can just do return 2 values from a function without it being a structure with tuples, or you can use unzipping, and it's not like a big deal at all. And it's like, in C, it's such a hassle to have things have to return. If they have multiple values, you either have to parameterize them and return an error, or there's so many things that can go wrong in C. It's horrible. Eternal Wild Fox says, well, I also have to read compiler design book to learn, lol. That's true. That's one way to learn. To be honest, I never read any compiler design book. I've read computer programming books, but that was in high school for school work mostly. He says, nice. Eternal Wild Fox. It's a blessing and a curse, because people say words and I go, I have to Google those tonight because this person is much more educated than me. They have like a background, you know what I mean? Whereas I come in and I go, okay, so there's like 2 things, and they're the children of this parent thing, and everybody is screaming like, it's a binary tree, and I'm like, okay, and this is, I take longer to recognize patterns than formally trained people do, right? But I do get there eventually, and I'm getting better at it. That's how time works. I think this works. It's interesting the different ways in which we can handle this. So the thing that this does is actually the same way that the fun call thing we just made works, which is kind of ironic. Like that, it describes that exactly. So if it's a function call, create the context, and then for a function call, evaluated value, handling the stack continuation means that there's either an end and we're done, or there's a little bit more to do. Hey, we did it. So now, y'all want to type check? Let's do some type checking, y'all. We're going to do some very basic type checking, I think. But we are going to do it. Or we could do code generation of functions. Let's look at code gen. think about how we could do this. So for every single one of the functions that have been defined with defun, we want to define them. Is the idea. I wonder if the stack should contain interesting. So a function call would kind of be handled we're basically going to have to generate the arguments, and we're going to have to push them onto the stack in reverse order, but only after we have passed the first 6 arguments in registers. Hey, we got a new follow. Thank you so much, Abdejahilam, or something like that. I feel bad if I massacred your name, but it's Abdel Jale or Hale, and then Hlm, HLLM. Thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. We got a lurker follow in the chat, but I really appreciate that. How's it going? Feel free to say hi, ask any questions. We're just programming, thinking about how to generate code for our function calls in our brand new compiler and language. All right. Let's see. So this function call, we are going to need to, basically going to be this. So this is a function declaration, which is going to be more important than the function call, because this is basically just going to be call and then this is going to be some function symbol, right? So a function symbol is actually the first child of a function call. So we can actually do something like this and get the symbol of the function call. We can double check that, but yep, function symbol is the first child. So the second child is going to contain the parameter list, and it is going to require some sort of, I guess for this specific code, we're not worrying about being portable here. We're just trying to do x86 64 AT&T assembly. So we don't have to worry about like, we do have to worry about the calling convention that we're using. Oh, balls. Okay. So which calling convention should we do first? We're doing x86 64 AT&T assembly. Let's just do the Windows. MSWin or something like that. Generate x86 64. I'll say emit to be fancy. Emit x86 64 AT&T assembly. That's not an and. Assembly with MS Windows calling convention. Function calling convention. Arguments passed in, what is it? RCX, RDX, RDI, RSI, R8, R9. Is that right? I don't know if that's right. Let's go check. Chat, let's go check. I gotta show you this. What are we looking up? We're looking up x86 64 Microsoft Windows calling convention. Perfect. They call it x64. That's right. Here it is. Parameter passing. So leftmost means first. I don't know why they have leftmost and fifth as their differences. But as you can see, anything that's an integer, an aggregate, which is something that fits within a register, pointers, a giant pointer, right? You can have all of these fit within registers, so they're just passed in this order: RCX, RDX, R8, R9, stack. So I got it a little wrong. I mixed it up with the Linux one, which has 6. It only has 4. Look at us go. So with this calling convention, that means that our first 4 arguments are passed in these registers, if possible. And then it goes to the stack. And this is whether they're structures, because those are pointers, basically. And then we have RDX, R8, R9. So these, we're going to use RCX and RDX in this case. We could do something like get first argument. So we could have like cogen emit x86 64 att assembly, and then say take in like an enum based on the calling convention. But I don't think we need to do that yet, because we're not supporting that many different OSs right now, because making the Linux one is going to be a literal copy and paste. It's not going to be too complicated. So RCX, RDX, R8, R9, stack. So for a function call, I'm going to have to do something for each of the children. So we're going to have, again, look, temp node is coming back. Look at us. I think I can just free it, because I don't actually want to free the data it's associated to. I'm just using it as a shell. Okay, so then while temp node equals expression children, temp node equals temp node next child. So for every child, this is going to be a little confusing, but we'll go along with it. Temp count, why not? Temp count equals 0. Temp count plus equals 1, right? And then here, this little ditty is going to go right here. Perfect. Okay, so now, so this case needs a break. Now we can count. So we should have either a function do call based on which argument we're doing. Like we could have a structure containing function pointers that emits the proper one, or we could have, so this is not right. We need to write something like if temp count is less than or equal to 3, else. So this is going to be stack. And then here we're going to switch on temp count. We could actually just switch on temp count in general. Let's try that. So we'll have a default case, which is stack stuff. Then we're going to have the case of 0. This is our first one. And this would go in RCX or something, right? So this is going to move the result of this expression Okay. So first we have to cogen all the expressions and actually get the results. That would be something that has to happen, right? So to do, actually cogen expressions, argument expressions. For now, we'll just allow literals in this case. Just like down here, I think it's the same thing. Yeah. So we write bytes. What would we write? We would like to move, and this is where it's going to get horrible. To do, fix me. It's assumed integer type, and is bad. We'll just copy from down below. Okay. So you would then like to write the integer of our current child. Right? So this gets the function name every time. That should not be within the loop. Why is this in the loop? I don't think that needs to be there. That makes this much simpler. While temp node, temp count plus 1, and temp node equals next child, but for each node, assume it's an integer, and write the integer into the file, and then write the rest of the line, which in case of 0 is racks. All right, and then move $integer, racks, I think is the proper way to do things. So this literal integer will be passed directly into this register. And you can see how in the future, when we actually code gen this, it won't actually change much. We'll just, the return integer may be a pointer or something, but it's going to be in racks from the where we go and evaluate, right, when we code gen. So we'll just put the response in racks or whatever variable, whatever register. In any case, we can keep it going because we write this integer, we write rack. So move $integer racks should work. And now we just have to actually use the proper one. Yes, that. 1, 2, 3. This is R9, I believe, R8. Not sure how I screwed that one up. And then RBX, just make sure of that. Our CX, DX, 8, 9 stack. CX, DX, 8, 9 stack. Works for me. Alrighty. Yep, it's all bad. And printf to do cogen stack allocated arguments. Look at us. Okay. What's your issue? Implicit declaration of function, because we renamed it. Hey, look, it worked. Let's go look at the assembly it generated. That sure is something. we're definitely getting the wrong value there, right? So the node equals expression children next child. I see. So now if we take a look at the code that has been generated, alrighty, there we go. This is looking much better. It's there's no function declaration yet, so it's not perfect, right? And we've moved 0 into RCX and that's it. So not perfect, but hey, we got something happening. So if we take a look at the tree, we have a function call, expression. That is what expression is, yes. So expression is a function call. Its child is a symbol foo, and the next child should be none. So we actually need the children of this. Look at that terrible line. And now, that's much better. Look at us. Okay, so now we are generating from our example this function call to foo with 20 and 34, two integers. Now gets moved into the proper registers and then called in this function. So now we just have to generate foo, you know, using some type of way. So in the actual body of the program, we can handle that. Also, I should probably do this. That's better. Okay, so now we just need to figure out, and it's not in the data section, it's after text. So this would be generate functions. Global functions, I guess I would call them, or I don't know. So we're going to have bindings, right? Did we do this? We did this up above. Yeah, like this. Yes, I'm copy and pasting. Don't at me. So this will be function. Binding. Functions. While it. We're going to rename this to function iterator. And then we're going to say node pointer function ID. And then we're going to say function equals function it value. I think that's understandable. Environment get. From the function, I don't think I actually need to do that. I have the function. So let's just print the actual function. So this would be function 0. And this is unhappy because var ID doesn't exist. It's now function ID. So this writes a label, but then after the label, we would like that to just be a line. Thank you very much. Then we would like to write to function body. Is that what we do? What do we do? So write identifier corresponding to variable. Pass through literally for now. Yes. Do no mangling. So with that function ID, the function itself will contain all sorts of goodies. These things. And so the idea would be, I don't know. So to generate the actual function, I guess that would be to do. So we're going to have to write the basic like function startup ones, these. I think I can just copy that. Because this pushes the base pointer, moves the stack pointer into the base pointer, and then subtracts 32 from the stack pointer, which just makes space for things. I think that's the shadow stack space, or I don't even remember. All right. In any case, we have a parser. A parser. Yes, we have a parser. We have code gen happening, and we're trying to go through our functions, our global functions, and generate each one. Which means that we may get a little recursive here. We're going to need a ret at the end. We're going to need to pop into RVP. We're probably going to also set the return value. That's not important right now. Exited abnormally with code 116. Really not. So function ID is just a pointer to the ID. So I could just get rid of this. I don't think I need it, right? If that's never accessed outside. So we print the function. And we get one function. So I'd like to print its name. Symbol foo, which is a function. Alrighty, this works for us. So let's look at the generated code. Hey, look. I bet you this would work, because now we can call foo and nothing will break. So now, we just have to basically reinterpret each parameter within the function, so the symbol, as the memory address on the stack or the register, which is a little complicated, but I think it's fine. So let's think about this. The function body should go somewhere in here. So with the function body, we effectively need to cogen expressions like this. So it seems like this type of code gen is going to be needed in multiple places, which I find very interesting. So we're just gonna move it. We're gonna move it and see what breaks. Give ourselves a little message. So we generate the data section like that, but then I would also like, also this should be called now MSWin, I think. Yes, I know, somewhere I call that. Actually, that may not be MSWin. Nothing here has to do with the calling convention, so we can actually remove that. My bad. My bad. I skipped right past it each time. Okay, so this is going to be cogen expression for the x86-64 AT&T assembly with MSWin. Sure. we're going to, it looks like, need a file pointer called code. And we're probably going to need generate expressions. Cogen expression list. I think that works. So then this node pointer expressions. And we can just say this, right? I think that makes it happy. So here, that's why I put the message there, by the way. And this would be program children into code. Program body. Alrighty. As you can see, we now hopefully generate the same thing. And we do. Look at us. Everything works. So now, where else did we need to do that same thing? We were looking in calling convention, question mark. Still need temp node. I guess we still do. Eternal Wild Fox says back, needed some coffee. Nice. That's right, it's probably getting late for everybody else. I forget that I woke up late, first of all. Moralilu! Hey, how's it going? What's up, Moralilu? What's up, Eternal Wild Fox? I'm so glad you could both get back. Moralilu says, lol, I just woke up. I got people from all different time zones in here, man. It's crazy. What does this even mean? That we can actually use it. Did I type we instead of way? I may not be the smartest. Moralilu says it's 1:30 p.m. here. Yeah, you can see in the bottom right for me, it's 2 hours before that. Which is means you're probably in Kentucky, right? Or Dallas. Or North Dakota. Maybe Minneapolis. I can never say that one. Doxed. No, I don't know. So now we call foo. How wonderful. And now for foo, when we're generating foo, okay, so here is where we were. And we can cogen expression list. Not of program children, but of function children. Next child, next child. I think that's awful, but I think that's right. No, not quite. So function children, next child, next child. I think that because function children, next child, next child. Children. That's right. Did I just delete something? I don't even know what I just did. Hey. Hey. We got some issues, but it's not too bad. So this variable reassignment only works for global variables. Which is something to think about, right? I don't know if that's the best. What does this return? An error, so we need to return okay. Yes, so cogen an expression list. So cogenning a top level expression list, I guess will be different. This will be the same. So here's maybe what we should do. Should we take the while loop back out and inline it, but then actually split this functionality out into a function? Or should we detect when we're at the top level here? Because variable reassignment in an expression list is different than at top level. What if we just say top level? Screw it. We're gonna have a char, top level. Top level. Top level is non-zero. It is assumed that expressions top level of program. This is a terrible way to do things and will definitely change. So don't do things like this, please. Okay, if top level else switch on what? So we need to figure out, we have a top level variable assignment, we have a symbol, and an expression. So we need to get the symbol from the environment. So maybe this just needs the context actually. Oops. Should also rename this not to parsing context, but just context. Whatever. And lists. Yes, context. Yes, context. Thank you. So cogent expression list. And the idea will be that the context will tell us if we are top level. If not context parent, otherwise we're in some nested context. Right. So global variables use the symbol. They're very simple. Local variables have to use a matched in the associative. Hey, Eton D, we got a new follower. Thank you so much, Eton D. I really appreciate it. We are at 45 followers. With all of our other stats on this channel, that means we are 5 followers away from becoming Twitch affiliate. It means 5 followers away from custom emotes, channel points, etc. It's gonna be dope. Alrighty. Sorry, you probably just heard me struggle to get the lid back on. Because I am I struggle. I'm a struggler. So get count of argument within, I guess, index of argument within parameter list. Use index of argument. I think to get to write to proper address or something. Sure. Right? So eventually we'll have type stuff here too, but for now we're just assuming integers in our code gen. Because we don't actually have any other types other than functions and function calls, so it doesn't really matter, do it. So we can call these code. And when we do so, this is the MSWin calling convention. So we need to get the index of argument within function parameter list. So function parameter list is the first child of the function. So it would be function. This is a variable reassignment, right? So how do we get the function that we are within? We don't. Interesting, interesting, interesting. So it's almost like the code gen context should contain the parsing context and some other stuff. Because we need to kind of keep track of the function, which I guess we have the context operator. We could just set that. It's not a terrible idea, right? Interesting. I think I'm coming at this from the wrong way. I may need to rethink how I do code gen in general and restructure this whole thing. But we're getting much closer to the end. It's not correct code, but it does work. Should this not? So if we're at the top level, this is how we should do things. But then when we are code genning a function, we're not at the top level. We should actually just like be in a nested context that we create, I guess. Would be the idea. Okay. That's not the worst idea. So then we'll say context equals parse context create or whatever. Again, this is awful. I understand. And then we're going to say context equals context parent. And to do would be free use context or whatever. A little bit of memory leak never hurt nobody, and that's better. So now we can just try and compile code.s into code.o. Shell command succeeded with no output. Look at that. So now we can just compile what we've compiled. So we can now link. This is the complicated one. We have to link with the MSVCRT, which is actually located in TDM GCC for me. And lib. So I think that should be enough. Yeah, it should be good. And then we actually have to give it the object file first, which is code.o that we just compiled. And I'd like to generate code.exe. Cannot find -l msvcrt. This is probably the wrong place. It's probably lib within here. Shell command succeeded with no output. Look at us. So we now link using this command, compile using this command, and then run the executable. Failed with code 5 and no output. Look at that. Oh, look. Look at our error. We sub but don't add. So the stack pointer, assuming it's the same, we add 32 because we subtract 32, and we pop RBP because we push RBP. You generate code. That's much better. And then we do our whole song and dance again. Like this. With as into an object file. With LD into an exe, and then run the executable. And it succeeded with no output. Look at that. Look at that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's fine. We do have to deal with racks being a little incorrect down here. This dereference shouldn't happen. Yeah, this was just example code to set the exit status from the memory address at racks. But we could just load like something custom in there, compile, do our whole song and dance again. And when we run it, succeeded with no output still. Interesting. You would think that that would definitely change its mind on that succeeded with no output, but whatevs. Eternal Wild Fox says nice. Yes. We are officially generating some basic assembly. We have the main program. Here, I can indent all this too. We have the main program, which calls a function with arguments 20 and 34. And then we have the function, which we're not quite there yet, but this is actually starting to look like a valid assembly file if you look at disassembled code. So this is good. This is the beginning. Perfect, perfect. So maybe I should just generate the top level the same as I generate all these functions. And then, okay, that's a thought. So imagine I have like the beginner, now only linking and compiling. The beginning, now only linking and compiling. Exactly. All all that we have to do next is write a linker and a compiler, right? Simple. No. But using as and LD allows you to link with like the C library very easily. For example, I could do that thing I did yesterday without breaking things now. If I'm not an idiot, which is unlikely, so be scared. So we should have, here, let's do it after this. In racks, there's a memory address that we dereference. So this memory address contains 42 now. To prove that, we could call printf, and all we have to do is move the proper values into the proper registers, RCX and RDX, and then link with MSVCRT. Simple? Eternal Wild Fox says, yeah, it's simple, you know, just debugging assembly mnemonics into opcodes and outputting those into an ELF file format. Eternal Wild Fox says, my idea from a linking is getting the API call addresses to use, if you understand what I mean. Yeah, that's literally exactly what linking does. It takes all these different object files, which contain memory addresses to actual places, and then it resolves them all together into a single executable file, where all the references reference, instead of external references, they reference memory addresses directly. The compiler just generates a bunch of mapping tables from like just basically what's needed, right? So if I call printf, this object file doesn't contain a printf definition, but there will be a printf somewhere at runtime that we link to. For example, so compiling just says, hey, there's this external symbol printf. It needs a memory address. Replace this, and then the linker goes in and replaces it when asked. Yes, Eternal Wild Fox, yes. So in our DX, our second argument to printf, we can put racks dereferenced. So this should have the value of 42 in RDX and the format string we wrote, LLD. And if we do the wrong thing, if we do our little song and dance once again, it succeeded with no output. Look at us. We're getting there. We should also probably move racks into RDX and then save it. I don't think we need to do this. Again, wrong thing. It's always one of those things that never works on stream, right? So we're able to compile this with this call to printf. We're able to link it with the MSVCRT into code.exe with no issues. But then the actual code executable succeeds with no output, which is kind of confusing. Is it not? So what if we delete code.exe? Yeah, it still gets generated, still doesn't work. Amazing. So it's like I can only do this off stream because I've literally done this exact thing last night. And I even posted about it in the Discord, like, hey, I got it working. But, you know, I didn't. No, I'm sure I'm just missing one thing. Oh, I know what it is. That's probably a Lee. Again, wrong thing there. Use little song and dance. Still no output, no. So you'd think that this would work. We load the effective address of the format string into RCX. We move the value at racks, which should be 42, right? According to this move queue just behind us. The value at racks into RDX. We can do that first if you prefer. Then we save it. Yeah, still succeeded with no output. That's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Oh well, we won't get caught up on it. We will recompile and trust our compiler. Perfect. Looks good, looks good. So now as LD and code. Perfect. Let's do something right at the end here. Make sure I'm not absolutely insane. Okay, I am absolutely insane. I still don't get how that works. Interesting. Oh well, because rack should be the return value. Oh, but we're in underscore start. I wonder if we need to generate main. If that's important. Oh, it doesn't matter. Revert the buffer, yes. Alright, have your fancy main. Succeeded with no output. Here's the moment of truth. If I understand nothing about assembly, this will not work. And it did not work. I understand nothing. So the return value of main should be the return value of the function. Reading from main should mean that, hey, things are happening. Oh well. I guess I don't understand what's going on, but I don't need to, because I'm not writing assembly, I'm writing a compiler. We should just transpile into C, it'll be easier. No, I'm joking. In any case, we can now, I think, take a look at the parser in main.c. So we currently parse expressions in a loop into a program. Eternal Wild Fox says, nice, I need to use a pre-order tree traversal as my tree contains the higher operator precedence lower in the tree. Exactly, that's how it works. You have to generate code from the bottom up and evaluate from the bottom up. Otherwise, you'll have nodes that haven't been evaluated or generated that you depend on. So the idea of the AST, like having the program at the top, I think is a little problematic in a lot of people's heads. I'll draw this out. So a lot of people, when they think of the AST, heyo, when they think of the AST, they think of like a node. Whoa, company mode. They think of a node which has like space on both sides and then a left and a right, right? But this is actually wrong, I think. It's an invalid way of conceptualizing things. A better way is to have a node on the bottom and then have it point upwards to a left and a right, if this makes more sense. And in doing this, you can see that a program will have basically a left and a right, and you have to go all the way up the tree on the left side, and then you can start code genning, and then you can go down one and do the right side, down one and do the right side, down one and do the right side. Whereas doing that this way, it's kind of confusing, like why do I have to do the bottom before the top level one? This one makes a little more sense, like The actual program is made up of all these leaf nodes, and these nodes are kind of just holding them together as chains. Or at least conceptualizing it this way helped me not get so confused, right? Because then it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense that you would do multiplication of like 2 times 3. I know this isn't how nodes work, just work with me. But you do 2 times 3 plus 1, right, in this way versus, I mean, there's kind of no other way to do it, right? Because if you had the times node here, then it wouldn't make sense that you generate, okay, make sure you generate multiplication of the, like the PEMDAS doesn't work out, right? But this at least makes more sense to me, that you go all the way up the left side and then go, hey, I got something, I can generate a 2. Then you go multiplication also as a right side, I can generate a 3. Okay, multiply them, okay, I can do that. And then, okay, plus, now use the result and then keep going down in that way. But you're absolutely right. A lot of people use the fancy words like pre-order traversal or things like that. Truthfully, it's just flipping it and doing it this way, instead of treating it kind of like a top-down type of thing. It's very cool. That's cool, that's where you're at in your project. I always think that like tree traversal, while it's the most confusing, it's also the most fun, because you have like objects and are able to move them around so much, and you feel clever when you finally figure something out. It's one of those problems that is just complicated enough. Alrighty. So I guess the idea... Eternal Wild Fox says, I have zero fucking idea how to do it. I never done that. Well, I believe in you, I promise. Because, to give you some help in C at least, I would have like a node pointer expression, right? And then I'd just say while expression next, right? So this will get you like, or while expression left. So this will be your node. I know I deleted it. But you could say like you start with node, right? Then you say while at the left, expression equals expression left, right? And this will get you to the last node. So this will actually make expression equal expression left exists, and then you'd get the multiplication node, right? Then with the multiplication node, you could go, okay, generate the left side of that, then generate the right side of that, then generate, which is an integer, and generating that, you could either do recursively or with continuations. It really doesn't matter. In any case, you just kind of generate one integer, then the right side, then you generate the code that operates on these two sides. So the left side could have a result variable, if that makes sense. If you're evaluating in real time, you can do that. So then you could have your result continue to increment and stuff based on your operators. So you could get a 2, get a 3. Okay, those are both integers. Your operators would multiply them together, get 6. Go here, add 6, 1, 7, boom, right? I know it's a lot to handle, but it's definitely doable. I believe in you. Okay, this is horrible. This is terrible. So we have parse expression, but I think we should also have parse program, right? This will be result. I think that's fair. And parsing a program, we're going to need a program. We'll call that result still. But this will be file path. Well, here's the thing. We're still going to need our start end nonsense unless we do Let's just do it this way. We'll give a file path. It doesn't matter. All we have to do is something like this. Right? And that. Parser.c. And to parse a program, we're basically going to do that thing. So file contents are under abcdef, file IO. What's wrong? It's better. So instead of doing that funky stuff, it's going to close this, say if not contents. Okay, so if not contents, return error. After error prep, error, I don't know, generic. It's a file error. Couldn't get file contents at blah. Not the best way of doing things, but they're fine for now. Okay, error gets moved up. We then create the program, parsing each expression. This says print error break, but instead we should just return error. Seems valid to me. And now here, I would like to say program equals node allocate parse program argv at 1 and into program. So if the error, print the error and return 1. Well, no, I don't think it's an unsuccessful compilation. It's just, well, sure, we'll return 1. Why not? Print error. So we try and parse a program from argv1. We print the error and return if there's an error. I think we should print the program either way. And then we can say else, effectively, generating code. We're going to need the codegen context, which is a thing we can do. And then, I don't know why we would need to change the context here, but we're really just doing this so we can write to the context. Yes, I know. And then we can be on our merry way. Program did not change. Too many arguments to function call. Oh. Oh boy. Expected. Okay, what do we got? Contents undeclared. In main, free contents. That's definitely not where that should go. So contents is allocated. So any failure after this point, free contents. This is why people use go-tos. That's good enough for me. Expected declaration specifier? What now? Oh, there's a... Is that right? Did I delete something I shouldn't have? Let me know, chat. Let me know. Oh, good. It doesn't work at all. This is good. So we get none returned, which I think is quite interesting. It's a program. There we go. Look at us. That's much better. Main.c got a whole lot cleaner just because of that. Don't think we need these like messages anymore. We're not debugging that heavily. If error.type. Print F. No, just return 2. Why not? So error code genning 2, error parsing 1, otherwise 0. Cool. Very, very cool. I think I have a better idea for how to define functions. It's less efficient, but it is kind of cool. So functions, I want to be able to have first-class functions, which means nested function declarations should be possible. But if you know anything about assembly, you know that you can't really have a nested function declaration. It just needs to be a call because of this ret. It operates on the stack, so if the stack pointer isn't exactly the same, you've got problems from the beginning to the end of the function, right? So to fix this, the idea would be to, every time we generate a function, we can still generate global functions like this. We don't need to, but we can. Anyways, to generate a function, even if we're within a function, you should be able to create a new label and create a whole, let's just copy this function, boilerplate here. So I can create a function within the start function. But the problem is, the instruction pointer will just keep incrementing. It doesn't really care. So it'll just push, move, sub, add. And we don't want to, just because a function is defined nested, run it when the function is called. So what we do is we could have after bar and then jump after bar, right? So then, anytime later, we can call bar, it'll jump here, do these, ret, and act like a regular old function. But in this function, the parent will just continue on, jump right over it, and continue on our merry way. So I think this is how we're going to handle lambda functions. Lambda functions will kind of be generated in this way. Whereas global functions, along with global variables, will have a specific way of doing, right? So global variables will just be referenced by their symbol. Global functions will just be, you know what I mean, implicitly generated before the program starts. But once the program starts, and we want to define a function, within a function. So this would actually never appear here. It'd only appear within something up here. And this could be a lambda. And all we'd have to do is whenever the lambda is called, call the symbol that we assign to the lambda. But the problem is lambdas don't have names. So that's also an issue, right? It's fine. Everything is fine. We'll figure it out. I have been streaming for 2.5 hours. I do want to take this time to thank everybody so much for watching. We're going to continue streaming about another half hour. And be sure to check out the Discord link down below. You can get notifications every time I go live. You can come say hi, update us on your progress you're making. Like I drew an @ onto a screen. I feel pretty proud of that. It took me a long time. Thank you, everybody. Nolan and Voimi. But yeah, we all have fun. We talk to each other, send memes. It's fun. Code. Help each other. I recommend it. Join that Discord if you haven't already. As well as the Discord down below, there's the YouTube. The YouTube contains all the previous broadcasts. So if you're curious how we got to this point in the compiler, go watch. It's all there. Or go watch the first episode when we actually come up with the syntax in like 15 minutes. Right? It's a lot of fun. It's so exciting that we are finally parsing and beginning to do things that work. Right? It's incredible. It's incredible. And it's very exciting. But yeah, so if you want to check out the parser, not the parser, the origins of where all of this came from, yeah, check out the previous VODs on YouTube. Videos. Okay, so as well as that, there's the donate button down below. If you really are feeling extremely generous and enjoying what you're watching, I would greatly appreciate any and all donations. Keep your money. If it's yours, I don't want it, but if you have the extra money and have the extra time and enjoy what you're watching, I would greatly appreciate any and all donations. Leave a username and a message so that I can attribute it to you. The last donator left a very cryptic message, which looks to be a Bitcoin address, but it's not actually one. I looked it up. So hopefully I can read the message you sent if you donate. Hopefully it's human readable text. In any case, I appreciate everybody for watching so much, and I'm excited to grow our little compiler club and work on some new projects. I think I want to show off my text editor once I make a little bit of progress on this next thing I'm working on. But yeah, we're doing it. It's done. So, yeah, that's fine. Effectively, yes, lambdas. Maybe I should work on that since I'm thinking about it so much. Right. So let's think about what is this code genning? I would like to code gen a function. Push QRDX says, oh, the mysterious case of the San Francisco crypto donator. That's right. He just leaves an address and leaves. His initials are SF, is why San Francisco is mentioned. If anyone's wondering. So the idea would be to write into code the function symbol, right? I guess we could say function name. What if we just gave it the node function? It's not a bad idea. So we would like to write jump to after function children. So node pointer sim name is the first child. We have parameter list. Well, no, it's not the child. So we're also going to need the name. Right? And we're going to have to write the name as a symbol. So jump after that. Generate the line which contains the first label, the non-after label, right? And this label is going to be the function name. I think that's fine. Then we need to do the function header. And then this is going to be execution protection. Nested function execution protection. Sure, why not? And then we're going to have similar thing here where we have write bytes of after in the code, then write the symbol, then write the label. So this will be function nested function execution temp label. Good enough for me. Okay. Why do we have this? I don't think we need that. So for the function header, we've already done this a few times. I don't think we need to go and write this again. Look at us. And then we're going to need the function footer. Whoops. The function footer. Ooh, I'm messing all sorts of things up. It is already 12:30. I have to go so soon. Oh no. Okay, so the function footer. Function body, which is going to be our code gen like expression list or whatever we have. What's the Google it? Hello? Context, expression, and code. So we would like to do the function body. Right? I think that's what we have down below as well. Yep. Okay. We should, yeah, do our context thing. So we're actually going to need the context as well. And do this. Okie doke. And we're going to say context equals create context. Context equals context parent. 2, 3 context. Okay. Not bad. So we still need the function footer here. Add 32 RSP pop RBP ret. Okay. Yep. Sub 32 pop RBP ret. Looking good to me. Looking good to me. So now we should try this. So cogenning a function requires, we'll just give it a char pointer name, right? What did I just screw up? I thought I did Control 2 Alt D. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what I screwed up last time. function begin memory symbol. Sure, why not? So we're going to need the name of the function node, the file to write into, and the context. That makes sense. Control 2 Alt space. So after blah blah blah. And now we just have to, for every function, say error equals cogen function. Yeah. With the context, this is going to be our, I guess we don't need to do that. We do that in there. So function, this is going to be our function ID value symbol. And that's going to be code. And then we shouldn't have to do this. And if we take a look at our code, look at us. So now we jump after foo, which is the first thing we do if our starting point doesn't work, right? That'll jump to our start. Pow. And then foo gets generated, its body, and then after foo, and blah, blah, blah. That's very cool. Very, very cool. Okay, so now using this, I think we can just do this in here in the expression list. With a function. We can just return. I guess not, we can't return, we have to continue. But we can set error, which I'm surprised is not done yet. And say if error.type, return error. Otherwise, keep it going, baby. So the function is actually the expression. And the name, there is no name, is the problem. Heyo. Broke things a little bit. It's fine. Right, so functions, a lambda doesn't actually have a name. So to do generate name from some sort of hashing algorithm or something. For now, we're just going to write something that works. Why are you mad? Implicit declaration. I see. So this calls cogen expression list. So cogen expression list calling function isn't possible unless we do a forward declaration. Let's think about this. So error equals cogen function x86 64 AT&T assembly. And the idea is we would like this to be able to just generate a lambda function, but lambda functions don't have names unless they did, right? Unless lambda functions did have names, in which case things would change. But handling a function here needs a lambda should be generated. Sure. I think. Yeah, why not? We'll have it be recursive for now. We can fix that in the future. Or not. It's we'll see how it goes. Cogen function, excuse me. Cogen function. This one. It works. And now you can see foo actually gets implanted within, gotta love indenting when you don't want it. So foo can actually be implanted within the start function now. I don't know how much I like that, but it does work. And I think there's something to be said about it. So we're going to keep it, even though we don't need to do it, right? That's a big to do with the foo in there. I feel like we should have something in here, but there's not really anything I can do, is there? So I could have a char 8. So this could be name equals. So lambda ID or symbol or something. And then the idea would be to have like random ASCII characters here. Well, I guess I could just use like random. It doesn't need to be that random. Right? Because even if I just had a regular char in equal rand, like modulo or max or something, this should work. It'll give me the same ones every time, but that doesn't matter. Char, lambda symbol. Oh, we're in a case. Okay. So basically what we're going to have to do is this. Hope that it works. That we get a different random each time the function comes around. That should be fine. Even if it's the same every time we run the program. Right? And then we should do like for lambda symbol size. Okay, we're going to do this. For size ti equals 0, I is less than lambda symbol size plus plus I. And the lambda symbol at I. So dereference the pointer. All right, then we still used foo, like a silly person. Hey, look, it worked. It's not good, but it did work. So let's do like only lowercase. Like, can I do ASCII 20? Right? I think this is how it works. So I would like my max to be the character max minus, so I'd actually, let's say it's 120 or something, 128. Ooh. Interesting. So 128 minus that would be sensible. Let's choose like those 40. Okay, there's some weird ones in there. Let's choose like 40 to 100. How about that? So ASCII, let's just look up the range of ASCII map, please. That's not helpful. This is helpful. So we would like, starting at decimal, yeah, see, starting at decimal, I'm trying to figure out where there's not a run of symbols. So let's go decimal 97 to 122. So 122 minus 97. 97 is our minimum. How do we get a new line? That's so confusing. Maybe I write line where I shouldn't. Jump after foo, after foo. Yes, that's fine. That one works. But this one doesn't. Oh, and then there's no actual label defined. So somehow this is setting it to 0 or something. I see. Still get nothing, huh? You'd think that that would have worked. So rand modulo 122 will give us a number between 0 and 121. But then minus plus, that does the same thing. So let's think about this. I think this is dumb. I would like to get a number between there we go. There we go. I was like, this should work. So now we got that ma fug and CLQ, right? No, I don't know what this is, but we got this this named function now. This label for an unnamed function, I should say. That's not too bad. Eternal Wild Fox says, ooh. That motherfucker still cute. So this will allow us to have unnamed functions. Lambda. Have you ever heard of lambdas? This is a lambda now. We did it. Basically, we can have an object in our language that generates a label, which is then used as the name of a function, and we generate a function with that name, and then the lambda fills in all the other data, and we end up with, there we go, a nested function, a lambda, unnamed function. The problem is this isn't a lambda, it's a global function, and it has a name. So again, it's not perfect, but if we were to keep track of the name of this function, we could then substitute for their calls, then properly fill in the memory label, jump memory label further on in the program. So if we were to keep track of the name of this function, our lambda symbol or whatever, isn't that function exactly? Should be the same every time we run the program. Yeah. Oh no, we didn't revert. Yeah, it's the same every time we run, which is fine. What happens if rand generates the same number? That's okay, because we generate 8 numbers in a row, and that's actually our symbol. So the chances of getting 26 different values, getting the same value within 8 is already rare. We have no duplicate characters here, right? And then on top of that, having 8 values in a row match exactly. I didn't notice it was in a loop. Yeah. Yeah, we fill this whole string. We don't just get one character. That would be rough. But yeah, we fill this whole string with random values. And we could even make it more complicated and use like capital values, right? So we could do like rand modulo 100 is greater than 50, right? And then we could do different things based on that and have different ways of generating names. And it would just get more and more complicated. But you're right. It is possible rand will spit out the same exact 8 numbers in a row, and we will get the same string, in which case we're screwed. No, in which case, if you see this function we're writing, if we were to keep track of the name, we could then properly fill in the jump memory label further on. Because this lambda, this unnamed function, if it's called later, like if someone has this, is kind of the only case in which an unnamed function could get called, right? Oh, Christ. So if somebody says like defun ABC, again, this shows that the name doesn't get used. But then you could have like your parameter list, your return type, and your body. So having this, then you could call that. And if you passed in a parameter, like let's say x, and it's x is an integer, then you could say like return x or something, or return x minus 1, or I don't even know. Then you could call this with 20 as an integer argument, if that makes sense. So I think I'd have to do like that. So you can define a function in line and call it directly, is the idea. That way we support lambdas. Why not use a time with millisecond and SHA-512 it for a lambda symbol name? Is that a bit of overkill? That's definitely overkill, Eternal Wild Fox. Lamau. That would be hilarious. But yeah, it's definitely overkill. If you want, we can calculate the chances of this being the same. Because rand, you'd have to figure out minus 122 and 97, so that's 25. Probably do 26. Hey, look, I broke it. What did I break? Where did I break? Oh, here. Of course. Yeah, if we did this, then this unnamed function could be called with the integer 20, and it should work. And then we should also be able to like define a function with a name and then call that variable. Like say a is a function equal to this, right? And then I want to be able to do a. This should work, but this is quite complicated, right? Because a being just a variable means that we have to test if a variable is actually bound to it. There's a whole lot that has to go on, right? Eternal Wild Fox says, well, in combination with random. Yes. That would be crazy. So you have random, millisecond, and a SHA-512. It should work. It should work. But yeah, a function, we would like to, the syntax isn't there yet, because I don't think we want the name to be there. So it may end up being like lambda, like that. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. For now, I think this is good enough. It's a good place to leave. Let's try and figure out what this can actually be. So we have 25 different values, right? So these 25 different values can basically... Do I have POW? I don't have POW. Math. So effectively, 26 is how many options there are. Well, 25 technically. So there are 25 different options. And here, let's go to the terminal and open up Python. So there's 25 different options, which means that 8 times we have 25 to be able to choose from. Is that right? So the first time we do it, it could be 0 or 25. So the chance of something happening is 1/25. And this, the amount of things that can happen in 1 would be 25. So 1 to the 25th is 1. 2 to the 25th is much larger. So effectively, each time we have 25 options. So one time with 25 options, you get 25. But then 25 times with 25 options after that, that's right. So it'd be 25 to the 8th power. Yeah. So this is how many lambda symbol names that we will be able to choose from with our little 8-byte name. I don't think we're going to have any issues unless you're creating programs that make an insane amount of lambdas, right? Eternal Wild Fox said, oh. Oh. It's true though. It's just there's not really a way to, I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. There's not really a way to repeat these. It would be incredibly unlikely because that number, it'd be like 1 over that, which is nothing. Oh Christ. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. It's probably disgusting. Just give you my cough through the internet. Oh yeah, this is what we were doing. To do. Actually do this stuff. Good enough for me. So the idea with this index of argument, we can then use a switch case to get the proper instruction. And then, yeah, that's the idea. To get the index of an argument, so first, yes, do that, but also to do find variable binding and keep track of which context it is found in. If context is top level, use global variable access. Otherwise local. That makes sense to me. Look at us. Alrighty. I've been streaming for over 3 hours at this point. It is nearly 1 p.m. for me. I'm going to have to go fairly soon, probably before 1 p.m. And it's 12:45 now, just so everyone is aware. I would like to thank everybody so much for watching and being part of our progress on this epic compiler. Okay, I gotta figure out how to do cogen better, I think. Because cogen, I think, is where I'm kind of messing up a lot of things. Not at least in the code that's generated. I think the code that's generated is fine, but the way that I'm generating the code, I think is really messy and doesn't need to be this bad. So I think I'm going to conceptualize today when I have some free time, when I'm out and about. I'm going to try and think about how could I structure a code generator in a way that doesn't suck, right? That's one thing that's going to be on my mind. Another thing that's going to be on my mind is type checking, because after parsing and we get a program and there's no error, we should do type check the program, because we don't do that at all right now, right? We're just assuming everything is an integer because that's the only thing we're parsing right now is integers. If you look at parse expression, the only null denotation we are parsing is integers. No other null denotation exists. Even symbol only feeds non-null denotations, if that makes sense. So yeah, definitely a lot to work on. Definitely a lot that can be cleaned up. And I really thank everybody for watching. We're making such good progress. Our compiler is actually going to be able to generate programs that like have functions and lambdas, and it's going to be cool. It's going to be very cool. I just have to do a little bit of conceptualization, making sure I have the mental model right. I think this for loop we can remove, by the way. It kind of bothers me. Okay, so the idea, if string compared to fun, we get a function. We advance the lexer to get the function name. That's valid. We expect an open paren after the function name. That's valid. And we can say, okay, now parse a parameter list. And this parameter list is a child of the working result. It's the first one, in fact, isn't it? Right? Interesting that we're going to have to continue within a continue. Okay, that's why I didn't do it before then. That makes a lot of sense. So add to the parameter list the parameter, add the parameter list to the working result. We can actually do this up above. We don't need to hide that down here. So this parameter list pointer is now a child of this working result, and we parse these. In which case, so this would be like a stack continuation down here, but it would be like a stack continuation that instead of breaking when it finds the closing, honestly, this is kind of the same code that we need, the fun call code, because this just parses a parameter list, which is exactly what we need for, okay, in any case, we would have to say, instead of breaking when this is found, we would have to enter this state. So we'd kind of have functions would have a like defun early and a defun body or something like that. That way we could actually jump between the two. Otherwise, I don't think we could do it. That's doable though. That's very doable. And something to think about, But yeah, to do, type check the program. Actually make sure that things line up, right? So for example, in our current program, we could say, type check and say, make sure in variable declarations that this is a symbol. I don't think that can actually change based on how it's made. But make sure that the symbol, the variable that the symbol is bound to, the type, make sure it matches the return value of the expression, right? And we can do things like that in reassignments and declarations with non-none initializers. We also have to code gen code gen, something to do here would be at some point, right? So in understart, at some point we have to initialize global variables as well as, yeah. So like if you do, for example, an example, we say a is an integer equal to 69, but in our code, a is never actually set to 69. It's just allocated space of an integer, but we never set it to 69 right away. Hey, look, new letters. If that makes sense. the idea is we actually have to do. At some point, we have to initialize global variables. And then we want to do the program body. So this does global functions. This does global variables. Not too bad, not too bad. I think there could be a better way to do this, but we'll figure it out as we go, right? I think I may be able to just do this. Whoops. I would be able to just comment all of this out if we kept track of the names when we generated a function, a lambda, right? We have to somehow have this function be kept track of. And then we have to decide on a syntax of an actual unnamed function. So you do a function call like this. So what if an unnamed function just has like square brackets, and then you put in the parameter list in the body like that, right? We can start to think about some syntax support for lambdas and everything like that. It's not a bad move. In any case, I thank everybody so much for watching. I've been streaming 3 hours, 10 minutes. Be sure to check out the Discord down below. We have fun. Ooh, he changed the syntax tree. I'll look at that. Eternal Wild Fox. Be sure to get notifications every time I go live. You can ask to join a group and get pinged every time I go live. You can tell everybody the progress you're making, share any problems you're having, maybe get help, anything you want. We're all friends here and we all have fun. I really recommend it. Be sure to check out the Discord down below, which contains the Discord. I just said that. Be sure to check out the YouTube down below, which contains all the previous broadcasts and things like that. LanderXT built the fun compiler during today's stream. I'd like to thank him. That was very sweet. And it's very cool that this code is actually working on other people's computers. It's cross-platform. It's amazing. It's working. Eat the works. Eat the works. But yeah, this code is fully open source on GitHub. We will be doing a commit and a pushy right here after the stream ends, and then I'll be getting out of here because I have to go. I was supposed to go probably 10 minutes ago. It doesn't matter. Being late is kind of my thing. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. If you have the extra money and are feeling extra generous today, feel free to leave a donation using the donate button down below. If your donation doesn't come in during a stream, I will mention it at the next stream or something like that. And if you leave a message, I will read it on stream. Ideally, you would leave a username or some identifier that I can read as well. That lets me attribute the donation to you. But yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for those of you who donate. The San Francisco crypto donator, the mystery, and also VMe. We have that VIP. He didn't come in today, but he is appreciated always. Thank you to everybody who donates. Thank you to everybody who watches. And please hit that Twitch follow button. 5 more followers, and we will actually be at Twitch affiliate. We had a great stream today, and we're going to have more in the future. So be sure to stick around. I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. All you have to do to be appreciated around here is watch, be a lurker, and chat from time to time, because I get lonely. Thank you so much, and I'll see ya. Bye-bye. Bye, Mom. Bye, Dad. Bye.